There are a lot of really good pass rushers in the 2026 NFL Draft, and we talked about a lot of them on this channel already. But one player that I really like in this class that I think is flying under the radar is Central Florida edge rusher Malachi Lawrence. Lawrence is a player that has some ridiculous traits off the edge, and the production has matched over the last couple of years. Today, we are going to be talking about Lawrence, what I like about him, and how I think he can help an NFL team. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a ton and lets me know that you guys are enjoying the videos. Comment down below which players you guys would like to see me talk about in a future spotlight just like this, and without further ado, let's get into it. Malachi Lawrence was a 3-star recruit in the 2021 recruiting class who committed to UCF out of high school. He has spent all 4 seasons at UCF and has been very productive on the field. In 2024, Lawrence finished with 28 pressures, 5 sacks, 9 tackles, a forced fumble, and 11 run stops on the season. But he saved his best season for his last, and Lawrence was dynamic in 2025. He finished the year with 40 total pressures, 7 sacks, 19 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 18 run stops, and he had a very strong weekend at the Shrine Bowl, and I think is one of the more slept-on pass rushers in this class. I think the biggest thing that sticks out when watching Lawrence on tape is his overall size and frame for the edge rusher position. He weighed in at Shrine at 6'4", 247 pounds, and he has around 35-inch arms. He has a very filled out frame, and he is able to use that to his advantage, and we know how much teams love to bet on athletic traits, and Lawrence has those. Not only does he have the great frame, but he has the explosiveness and speed to go along with it. I think he's got a dynamic first step. I think he can work the outside shoulder of offensive tackles, and I think NFL teams are going to fall in love with the traits he possesses. I think the most impressive part of Lawrence's game is the nuance that he plays with as a pass rusher. He has a plethora of different pass rush moves, and he is effective at using all of them. His two-handed swipe is phenomenal, and his hands are so quick at the point of attack. I think of all the players I have watched in this draft class, Lawrence does the best job at setting up a second move. If his initial pass rush move doesn't work, I thought he showed the ability to be able to pivot and counter into something different. He converted speed to power really well because of his explosive first step. He can challenge the outside shoulders of offensive tackles with his bend. He has the two-handed swipe. He has a ghost move. And I think he has a full tool belt as a pass rusher that could make him a very dangerous DPR at the next level. As a run defender, I think the conversation is a little bit different. I think that Lawrence took some great strides this year at defending the run, but still has some areas he needs to improve upon. I think he anchors well in the run game. He's not pushed off the ball very easily, and because of the explosiveness that he brings, he makes some really good splash plays. I think he's pretty disciplined with his eyes, he triggers downhill, and he's able to make those big splash plays. However, I do think he has some ups and downs as a run defender. For one thing, I think his block shedding is something that really needs to improve. Too many times it felt that he got stuck on a block, and because of it, he was flushed out of the play altogether. On top of that, I think that his tackling rate is all over the place. Throughout his career, Lawrence has a 22.4% missed tackle rate, which I just didn't like to see, and I think it limits what you can do in run defense. And UCF recognized this, and at least in 2024, he was much more of a rotational pass rush player than a 3-down lineman. I think Lawrence has the ability to continue to improve his run defense. The splash plays are there, the discipline is there, but it is something worth noting and something that I do think he has to be better at shedding blocks, he has to play more controlled, and he has to be able to wrap up better as a tackler. Another question that I have with Malachi Lawrence is, as good as his pass rushing moves are, I still feel like there are instances where he doesn't really have a plan. I'd like to see that get better. At the line of scrimmage, I want him to know what moves he is going to do rather than not knowing what he's going to do. He has the tendency to play a bit out of control at times, which has led to the missed tackles, and I would like to see that get better and see a little bit more consistency in his overall pass rushing plan, and if he can do that, I think he could be a monster in the NFL. Malachi Lawrence is a player that I wasn't very high on over the summer, but I think he took some really positive strides in 2025. I think the athleticism is excellent. I think his hands and the way he's able to set up pass rush moves are some of the best in the entire draft class, and I think at the very worst, he could be a very good designated pass rusher at the next level. I have Malachi Lawrence as my number 9 edge rusher in the class and a borderline top 50 grade on him as a player. In terms of a scheme fit, I think Lawrence brings really good versatility to the defensive side of the ball. I think you could play him as a base 4-3 defensive end, I think he could play designated pass rusher, and I also think he could play in a 3-4 scheme as an outside linebacker, and ultimately that is where I think he could be at his best. A guy who can pin his ears back, get after the quarterback, get one-on-one matchups with offensive tackles, play with speed downhill, and I think that's where he is going to thrive at the next level. I think that's what his best position would be, but like I said, I do love the versatility and think he fits in pretty much every scheme at the NFL level. My player comparison for Malachi Lawrence is Jacksonville Jaguars edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen. This is a very lofty comparison, and I'm not necessarily saying that Lawrence is going to be as good as Hines-Allen because he's one of the best edge rushers in all of football. But I think that in terms of the traits and the way that they play the position, there are a lot of similarities. Both of them are excellent with their hands. They can win with both speed and power and have a variety of different pass rush moves that they can pull out at any given moment. They both bring versatility, size, length, and explosiveness. Both have had some missed tackle issues throughout their career, and I think that in the right situation, Lawrence could be an absolute monster off the edge and could be a very similar player to what Hines-Allen is. This is all in terms of skill set. I'm not projecting him to be like Josh Hines-Allen, but I do see some similarities in their games. Malachi Lawrence is a monster. He's a guy that has all the physical traits that you could look for, and I think he's going to go a lot higher than people expect. And ultimately, I believe that Malachi Lawrence will be a top 75 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft.